Well, welcome back to Talking Cards, and today we are talking about Star Trek, the card game. Released in June of 1996 and released through Fleer and Skybox, this set of 306 cards was designed by Mag-Force 7. One expansion was released in the January of 1997, which was called Starfleet Maneuvers, and consisted of 160 cards and was based on the first half of the second season of Star Trek, the original series. Also around this time there was quite a few promo cards released with various publications, and there was also said to be a second expansion called Alien Encounters to be released in the summer of 1997. However, this never sadly materialised and would have been based on the second half of the second season, and also would have included a new card type, Ally. So I have no information on what this card would have done, but it would have been interesting to see what this would have brought to the game. A third expansion was planned for November 1997, but sadly never appeared. So now we're going to have a look at the different types of cards you get in Star Trek the card game. First, we have these silver backed cards here. Let's flip these over and we find the core crew cards. We have the USS Enterprise itself, Captain James T. Kirk, Commander Spock, and Dr. McCoy. Now these cards come in every starter deck you get, and you cannot actually play this game without these four cards on the table, because these come, as I said, in the starter deck. It was a strange choice by Fleer Skybox to do this, because these cards are not rare, they're fixed, you have to have them, which means collecting them is really easy. In fact, the rare cards for the crew were actually those characters that only had a small part in the show, but they have special skills. I'll explain about the other symbols in just a moment. Let's put them to one side for now. And then we have the typical crew cards, which are blue bordered, as you can see. Here we have an example. We have Uhura. As you can see, she has a certain skill at the bottom of the card there, summon to bridge. I'll explain that, these kind of skills, a bit later on. One side for now. The next type of card we get is a challenge card. Now the opposing player will play this card as you're playing your episodes, which I'll get to in just a moment. These are here to try and stop you from winning the game, gaining points, or even stopping your crew. But we also have wild cards here, which can be played at any time during the game and usually have a one-time effect. For example, this one here, deflector shields at maximum, stops removal of a counter from the Enterprise or any permanent wild. Second type of wild card is character wild cards. Now these can be played by either opponent and stay on the table until the episode that they are put on is finished. That's a rare card there. We have Edith Keeler. And then we have the other type of wild card, the permanent wild. This again can be played at any time and as a continued effect. This one's a Romulan bird of prey. There are different types. There are either locations or ships, and as I said, they stay on the table, and you can use or pay for different effects throughout the game. And then we have effect cards. These can be played only during icon draws or icon flips, and they essentially help you to win that part of the game. I'll explain icon flips, icon draws Let me get onto the gameplay section of this video. And then finally, we have the episode cards. There's 3 types. Mission, which is played first. Plot, which is played second. And then Discovery, which is played at the end of the episode. So going back to the character cards, let's explain the symbols. So let's use the Enterprise as an example. Notice here we have 3 symbols. We have the phaser icon, the delta icon, and the Vulcan salute icon. The first icon represents strength, tactical ability. The delta represents humanity, and the logic, the Vulcan symbol, represents logic or intelligence. And they are used for icon draws, which I'll explain in just a moment. Vital equipment, it says there. These are different skills that each card has. Losing the Enterprise results in the loss of the game. Or we have phaser banks. You pay 1 XC to remove 1 XC from any permanent wild. And then we have Captain Kirk here. As you can see, his attributes are slightly different. He has 7 in combat, 4 humanity, 4 logic. And he's the commanding officer, and he has a ability to intercede, pay 1 XC to make Kirk the target of an action. Kirk is -1 to all ratings if used in this manner. And we have Spock, extremely logical, +5 versus tempt and command if he's used. Vulcan nerve pinch to pay 1 XC to add 1 combat icon to any icon draw. And Dr. McCoy, inspiration. If McCoy is in the landing party, all other crew with medical are +1 to logic and humanity. So that's basically core crew's abilities. Now, a typical example of a crew member, we have Lieutenant Uhura, who has 3, 6, 4 on her stats, and she has the skill Summon to Bridge. Pay 1 XC to remove from your deck 1 crew card not currently in play and place it in your hand. Very useful. And then let's have a look at the capture card, challenge card of Khan. You have to pay for him 1 XC. I'll explain what XC is in just a moment. Notice there's different skills here: capture, outwit, or conquer. The opposing player picks one of them, and the current player has to oppose that. And then we have our wild cards. Again, played at any time. Have a one-time effect, or a place played for an episode. Permanent wild, again, played at any time. And you can pay, for example, this Romulan bird of prey increases all Romulan stats by 1. Or you can pay 1 XC to remove 1 XC from any permanent wild, to remove 1 XC from the Enterprise, or you can pay 2 and play a Romulan challenge, place it in your hand, which is very useful if you're playing a Romulan deck. With the effects, like I said before, play this to get you out of trouble doing an icon draw. So that's basically what the cards are, what the cards do. It's easy to explain what these do during a typical gameplay, which I will set up in just a moment, and I will show you how to play a typical turn of Star Trek the card game. So now I'm going to show you a typical gameplay turn of Star Trek the card game. Now, as I mentioned before, the 4 core crew comes in your starter deck, but what you also get, which is very useful, is the info card, which gives you the turn order. and also what each challenge does. Not to see there, but there you go. Very useful. So here we have our deck there to one side. You also need some counters of some kind, whether it's coins, beads, or in my case, I'm going to actually use some coloured buttons. It's a good idea to have separate coloured buttons for you and your opponent so you can differentiate who's who. But in this case, this is the typical setup to start the game. You have your core crew in the middle of the table, tapped, if you will, and you have your power base there. You also have your ship stores off to one side with more counters ready to use later on. Your deck size is 7. And your first port of call in any start, decide who goes first. So I've decided to go first this time. So I have my hand here. Now the first phase is your discard phase. If you've got too many cards in your hand, you have to discard one. So for this example, I would discard Edith Keeler. I don't need her at this stage, so I'll put her to one side, discard pile, and I can draw another card. In this case, I've drawn a mission. Very useful for this example. So, at this stage, we could play a crew card if we want to. So, looking at our hand, we do have a crew card. So, I'm going to put that in my ship's complement. The opposing player can't use this card. However, during his turn, if he also plays, for example, Lieutenant Uhura, she becomes part of the bridge crew, which means she gets to go with these guys here. So both players can use the same card. The next phase is the episode phase. Let's move these up there. This is quite a condensed gameplay table, just for the sake of this video. You would spread out typically. So, we have our crew phase done. The next phase is the episode phase. So, I'm going to play Combat Maneuver mission. Now, at this stage, we have to choose our landing party. So, the Enterprise can't be picked straight away. Only in certain circumstances can the Enterprise come into play. So I've decided I'm going to pick Kirk, Mr. Spock, Dr. McCoy. Now notice this mission card has a special writing on it, special condition. It says, all crew you control are present to this mission. So it means also Uhura is part of this mission. So now at this stage, we can assign XC to our landing party. So I'm going to put 1 Captain Kirk. I'm going to put 1 on Mr. Spock. I'm going to leave 1 to one side for now. So now that that's done, we're all ready to go. Oh, one more thing I've forgotten. Both players must put 1 XC on the Enterprise at the beginning of the game. This is essentially the ship's power. If the Enterprise loses both of them by being attacked, it is destroyed and the game is over. So the next phase is their opponent can play a challenge card. In this case, our opponent plays Rook. Now, Rook has the attack skill. So let's have a look at our thing, our handy info card here. It says attack, and the combat rating is combat, which is the red phaser, and it's the choice of current player. The result is an icon flip. So I choose Captain Kirk, because he has the highest combat rating. Now what happens now is we do an icon draw. So you use your deck and you pull out 7 cards. Now, notice at the bottom of each card is another symbol. These are your icon draws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So Captain Kirk gets to draw 7 cards from your deck, and you're looking at the icons at the bottom. We've drawn 3 combat icons. Now let's see, for example, that our opponent draws 4 combat, which means that challenging player has won that stage. Now what happens next is an icon flip. For this example, we'll do the icon flip. Usually it's the challenging player that will do this, but for this example, we'll do it. So we'll put these cards at the bottom of our deck. And we'll do an icon flip. So in this case, we get a humanity one. So in this case, with the humanity icon, poor old Captain Kirk there is actually neutralized, which means he is no longer able to take part in the episode. If I was to flip a combat icon, Captain Kirk would have sadly died, would have been moved from the game. If I'd flipped a logic icon, well, nothing would have happened. Now, because we haven't resolved this challenge card, it stays in play. Okay, so Captain Kirk is out of this episode now. However, we still have most of our crew members. We've lost Uhura. I don't know where she's gone. She's probably popped for a coffee. But for example, we'll carry on. So the next phase is the plot phase of the episode. So we'll move Captain Kirk away for now. So we play the plot, the Cobra Mike maneuver. So it says here, all challenge cards with Enigma +1 to all ratings. We're not going to use anything like that, but that's very useful to know. Now notice this symbol here is the Enterprise symbol. Now what happens now, whether you like it or not, Enterprise is now part of the episode, which means it is technically in danger. A challenging player can now play another challenge card if he or she wants to. In this case, they don't. Interesting point to note is that you can play another plot card if you want. In fact, if you've got them in your hand, you can play as many plot cards as you want to gain more points. In this case, we're just going to play the 1. So a challenging player doesn't play another challenge card, so now we can move on to our discovery. Now then, it says there, if a godlike challenge card was played in this episode, you get an extra XC point. We didn't, so we don't. So now what happens is, it's called the initial XC segment. So our challenging player actually gets 1 XC point for keeping a challenge card in play. So he gets that point, and now we have to resolve this challenge. So we have to pick another crew card to take on Rook. In this case, I'm going to choose Mr. Spock. He has a combat rating of 5. Rook has a combat rating of 6. So we do our icon draw. See who wins. So we draw 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Oh, it did quite well there. We've got 4 out of 5 combats there. Let's assume our challenging player only draws, say, for example, 3. We automatically win, and the challenge card is discarded. So now we get to tot up our reward. So for this, we get 2 for the mission, 2 for the plot, and 1 for the discovery. That's a total of 5. So we get 5 do counters 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now what we can do with that is going to award it to our surviving crew. So 1, 2, 3, and I'll put another one on the Enterprise. So now we have a total of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points in total. If I get to 25 points, I win the game, or alternatively, if my opponent gets 25 points, they win the game. So that's a typical turn in Star Trek the card game. There are other things I could have done that turn. For example, I could have played the Permanent Wild Romulan Bird of Prey, put an XC on that at any time, and I could have used that to take maybe 1 XC off the Enterprise when it was part of the landing party on the opponent's turn. Or if my opponent decided to take an XC from the Enterprise for whatever reason, I could have played the wild card, deflect a shield at maximum, prevent that damage. Now, it's my opponent's turn now, for example, and he decides to play his mission, and so on and so forth. And I decide to play my challenge card, which I can do at any time. I can play Khan, for example, and if I win that, I get XC at the end of my challenging player's turn, and that's how you increase your points. So what is XC, for example? XC is experience counters. And like I've said, you need 25 points on your characters, your crew, to win the game. XC on your permanent wilds does not count. XC in your power base does not count. In fact, you can only have 3 in your power base at any one time. Any more than that, it goes back into your ship's stores to one side. Another thing to note is the effect card. So now I could have used the effect card, which had an extra 2 combat symbols to save Captain Kirk during my turn. It sounds like a complicated game, it really isn't. Once you get the flow going, this game moves really, really fast and be quite fun to play when you get into the rhythm of things. Playing episodes, playing plots, playing challenges, playing wilds, playing permanent wilds. It is a fun game. It can be a challenge to get used to the rules with the icon flips, icon draws, when to play certain cards, and so on and so forth. But I did really enjoy playing this game back in the 90s with my friends. I did enjoy collecting them. And if you are interested in playing this game, by all means, you can find these starter decks still on eBay or other auction sites. And I'm pretty sure there is still a community out there of loyal fans who are still playing this wonderful game. So next, I'm going to show you my full collection of these cards so far. And then if you're enjoying the video, enjoying the content, please leave a like, subscribe, or even comment, and I'll see you in just a few moments when I'll show you my full collection. I'll go for a typical tour of my collection so far. So here we have the core crew, we have the Enterprise, Captain Kirk, Mr. Spock, Dr. McCoy, we've got Scotty, we've got Sulu, we've got Uhura, Chekhov, Nurse Chapel. Some of these cards are from the Starfleet Maneuvers set. I'll try and point them out for how much ones they are. We've got Rand, Captain Pike, who's from the Starfleet Maneuvers set. Kelso, Dr. Dana, Dr. Mark Piper from the When No Man Has Gone Before. Gary Mitchell, Lieutenant Leslie, Riley, Ben Finney. Here we have Giotto, Landon, Spinelli, Painter, Myers, Martine, Wilson, Kalowitz, Masters, Lang. If you remember which episodes these are from, I'll be very impressed. Rodriguez, Tomlinson again, two different people, not related, I don't think. Lawton, Latimer, Matthews, I'm sure some of these names are made up. Romain, Pereza, Fisher, Diamato, Rowe, Smith, DePaul, Jaeger, Green, Lieutenant Kyle there, O'Neill, he's out of uniform. We have Lindstrom, Tom Palm, I think he just sat at the back of the bridge during the Doomsday Machine. But there he's actually, I think he's a rare card, that one. Rayburn, Eldon, Ross, Thomas there. Now these are the challenge cards. These are from Starfleet Maneuvers. These are from the Mirror Universe. We've got Mirror Spock. I always thought Spock looked quite badass in a goatee beard. We have Marlena, Mirror Sulu. Up here we have Mirror Chekhov. And we have the Klingons. We have Kor. We have Kang. Mara. We have Kahless. Just a Klingon warrior. Klingon landing party. And the Romulans. We have the Battlecruiser commander. The Bird of Prey commander. It looks suspiciously like Spock's father. We have the Centurion. The Odysseus. We have Khan. We have his followers here. Joachim. Otto. And then we have good old Trelane. We have Belloc. We have two types of the M13 monster in normal form and as crewman green. And we have the Mudge Women. We have Eva, Magda, and Ruth. And we have Ben Childress. I don't have Harry Mudd at this stage. Mudge Women all there together. And we have Bale. He also played the Riddler, I believe, in the Batman series in the 60s. We have Miri there from a very cool episode called Miri. And we have John and the Onleys. We have the Varl computer snaky thing. We have the Hota, hostile miners from the same episode. We have Landru, Harkum, Bailar, the Lawgivers. I believe these are from the same episode. Return of the Archons. We have Yarnek, Red Jack. We have an Andorian up here, and a Talarite. We have a Witch. And we have the Talosians. We have Vina there. And Vina's an Orion dancer. And we have the Kalar there from the same episode. We have the Cage or the Menagerie. We have the military officer, Colonel Green, Finnegan, Formula of Interest, the White Rabbit, Alice in Wonderland, Don Juan, Genghis Khan, the White Knight there from the episode called Shore Leave. We have Lazarus. We have the alien scavengers. We have Places. We have the Marcosians. White Earp. We have Leona Caridian. We have Gary Mitchell as the godlike creature became. Same with Dr. Elizabeth Dana. Down here we have Simon Van Gelder, Tristan Adams, Lethe of the Capellans, Claudius Marcus, Planetary Guards, the Elias Sandoval, Leila Kolami, that's an unusual name, Insane Colonists. We have Rook, the Android Duplicate, Dr. Brown there from the episode. I can't remember what the episode was called now. We have the Gorn Captain. We have the Metrons. Yep. And then we have the Margoto, the Dichoronium Cloud Creature, the Denevanoa Parasites, Trefane. We also have Commodore Stone. Now we move on to the Permanent Wilds. This one's from the Starfleet Maneuvers expansion set, the Lexington. We have the Bird of Prey, Main Engineering, Tantalus Field again from Starfleet Maneuvers, the Ion Storm again from Starfleet Maneuvers, the New Life and New Civilizations, the Shuttlecraft Galileo, the SS Versarius, the Doomsday Machine again from Starfleet Maneuvers, Orion Smugglers again for Starfleet Maneuvers. By the way, when you're playing the game, you can only play one type of permanent wild. So if I play the Doomsday Machine or the Planet Killer, my opponent cannot play that same card in the game. Just a side note there. We have our wilds. There's quite a few of these, so I won't name them all. You can pause the video if you want to have a closer look at them. Now, I believe my counts are right. I only need about 30 to complete the entire original set. Most of them are rares, so I'm actually quite struggling to find them on eBay or any other auction site that you can find. I'm very close to finishing, which is quite a triumph, really. Now move on to the missions. We have the cage. Another note in gameplay: if you play the mission, the plot, and the discovery from the same episode, you actually get a bonus XC at the end of your turn. So here you would get 4, 5 plus an extra one for completing the cage. You can also use for the cage anyway. You can actually use plot cards from the menagerie as well, and still get a bonus. There is Where No Man Has Gone Before, Cobra Map Maneuver, Mud's Women, The Enemy Within, The Man Trap. We have Charlie X. I'm only missing the mission for that one, which I think is a rare card. What a Little Girl's Made Of, that's the episode I was trying to remember from earlier. Balance of Terror, The Naked Now. Again, missing the plot for that one. The Alternative Factor, Miri, Galileo 7, Return of the Archons, Taste of Armageddon, Operation Annihilate. I'm missing a few missions here and episodes here. Arena, Devil in the Dark with the Horta, Conscience of the King, Shore Leave, Errand of Mercy, where we meet the Klingons for the first time. Up here we have Tomorrow's Yesterday, some time travel shenanigans. Space Seed, Square of Gothos. Another note to mention is that if you can't play a mission, plot, or discovery, I don't know why that's one way around, it's discovery first, I don't know why. If you can't play a mission or plot or discovery out of your hand, you can play the default mission, plot, and discovery cards, which are in here somewhere. Dagger of the Mind, City on the Edge of Forever, and then we have the effect cards. These have different effects. Logic, Humanity, to Logic, Humanity there, and so on. Now these are the default missions. Default mission, plot and discovery. You get 1 XE for playing the mission. Now what can happen is your challenging player, if you play the default mission, can play a mission card from their hand, or a plot card, or a discovery card from their hand. Now you're thinking, why would they do that? Well, some mission cards, plot cards and discovery cards, actually have minus XC on them. So you can actually end up giving them a bit of a deficit in terms of points for their completing an episode. Now, usually, you can abandon an episode if you want. However, there are some cards that prevent you from abandoning an episode, which can have dire consequences to your game. Here we have info cards, front and back, and finally we have the actual rule book. If you're interested in getting this game, the starter decks look like this, look like a tricorder. They're quite easy to pick up. I picked this one up for about £6. Prices vary depending on who's selling them, but you'll get all the cards you need to start a game straight out the pack. So thank you for watching. Thank you for letting me show you around my collection and briefly gameplay and different cards you can get and use. So I hope you enjoyed these videos, and please leave a like, a subscribe, and even a comment. I'll see you next time.